The dust of the battle in the valley of Hunayn had barely settled. The defeated warriors of Hawazin and Thaqif were fleeing south through the rugged mountains. But the war for Arabia was not over. Their destination was a city unlike any other in the peninsula. High in the mountains, surrounded by fertile land and thick stone defenses, a city known for its wealth, its vineyards, and its powerful walls. That city was Taif. The Muslims had won their victories in open deserts and valleys, but now they faced something far more difficult: a fortified city prepared to survive a long siege. This would not be a battle of speed, it would be a battle of patience. This is the story of the siege of Taif. Taif was one of the most prosperous cities in Arabia. While much of the peninsula suffered from heat and drought, Taif enjoyed cooler mountain air and fertile land. Its orchards and vineyards were famous across the region. The city was controlled by the powerful tribe of Thaqif. But what truly protected Taif were its massive defensive walls. Unlike the mud structures common in other towns, these defenses were built from heavy stone. Strong gates and high towers allowed archers to defend the city from above. Inside the walls, the defenders had stored food, water, and supplies for many months. Their commander, Malik ibn Auf al-Nasri, had retreated here after the defeat at Hunayn. He understood one important fact: as long as those gates remained closed, the city could survive. Soon the army led by Prophet Muhammad arrived outside the city. Nearly 12,000 soldiers had marched from Hunayn. At first, the camp was established close to the walls, but the defenders quickly demonstrated the danger. Arrows rained down from the towers with deadly accuracy. Several companions were killed in the opening moments of the siege. The camp was moved farther away from the walls to a safer location. The siege of Taif had officially begun, but the defenders held the advantage. They could watch the attackers from above while remaining protected behind stone. The Muslims soon realized that traditional battlefield tactics would not break the walls of Taif, so new technology was introduced. For the first time in their campaigns, siege weapons were used. Large catapults, known as manjanik, were assembled. Heavy stones were launched toward the city walls. Some companions who had knowledge of siege warfare helped construct these machines. Huge rocks crashed into the battlements. The sound echoed through the valley. But the defenders of Taif were prepared. They repaired damage quickly. The walls remained standing. Next, the Muslim army attempted a more direct assault. They built protective wooden structures called dababa. These were covered shelters that allowed soldiers to move toward the base of the walls while shielded from arrows. The plan was simple: reach the walls, dig into the foundations, and weaken the defenses from below. But the defenders of Taif responded with brutal ingenuity. They heated metal until it glowed red. Then they dropped the burning metal down through openings above the attackers. The wooden shelters caught fire. The soldiers beneath them were forced to retreat quickly. Once again, the fortress of Taif remained unbroken. The defenders believed the siege would soon collapse. From the safety of the walls, they watched the attackers withdraw once again. As the siege continued, another strategy was considered. The wealth of Taif came from its fertile vineyards. These fields were the pride of the city. The Prophet ordered that some of these vines be cut. It was a clear signal to the defenders that the siege could threaten their prosperity. The people of Taif cried out from the walls, asking that their lands not be destroyed. In response, the order was soon given to stop. Even during war, destruction was not the goal. At the same time, another announcement was made. Any slave who escaped the city and joined the Muslims would be granted freedom. Several slaves climbed down from the walls that night. They confirmed what many suspected. The city still had enough supplies to last a long time. Days turned into weeks. The siege lasted nearly 20 days. The defenders showed no sign of surrender. A companion named Nawfal ibn Muawiyah offered a comparison. The people of Thaqif are like a fox inside its hole. If you stay, you may catch it, but if you leave, it cannot harm you. Around this time, the Prophet also saw a dream. He interpreted it as a sign that the conquest of Taif was not destined at that moment. Soon the decision was made. The siege would end. As the Muslim army began preparing to withdraw, some companions asked for a curse against the people of Taif. They had caused many injuries during the siege. But the response was very different. The Prophet raised his hands in prayer and said, "O Allah, guide the people of Thaqif and bring them to us." It was not revenge he wanted, it was guidance. History would prove that this prayer was powerful. Within a year, leaders of Taif would travel to Medina and accept Islam peacefully. The fortress that could not be conquered by force was opened by patience. The siege of Taif marked the final major conflict in Arabia that year. But beyond the borders of the peninsula, larger powers were beginning to notice the rise of the new Muslim state. But beyond Arabia, a new threat was rising. To the north, the armies of the Roman world were watching. The next journey would lead across burning deserts, to the frontier of the Byzantine Empire. And the next chapter of the story begins with the expedition of Tabuk.